Hey everybody, just like you, every summer I wrestle with finding the balance, right? We want our kids to enjoy summer vacation, but the game calls to us. How long should we take off before we get them back in the game? And that's one of the reasons we really love what NHL Sensorina is doing this offseason. They've rolled out new monthly training packs to give players a structured plan to follow all summer, so you're not wondering what they should be working on. They've also added creator packs featuring drills from NHL goaltenders Devin Cooley, Joey Decord, along with Brody True's Summer Skills Pack. It's a fun way for players and goalies to work on their hockey IQ, decision making, stick handling, reactions, and game situations right from their home in just 10 or 15 minutes. Perfect to keep them away from the ice, but get that hockey in. So if you've been thinking about trying Sensorina, now is the time. Their off-season prices is always the lowest of the year, and Our Kids Play Hockey listeners can save an additional $25 with the promo code OKPH. So head over to hockey.sensorina.com, use that promo code OKPH, and keep your players sharp all summer long. Check out that website, then come on back and get yourselves sharp with this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey.
This episode is powered by NHL Sensorina. Hello, hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome back to another edition of Our Girls Play Hockey. It's Lee Elias, joined by Mike Bonelli and Hayley Scamurra. You know, guys, every coach wants better games, but every player also wants more ice time, and every parent wants to see improvement. Everybody wants something. All three of those goals start at the same place. Practice. We're talking about practice today. For those of you from Philadelphia, we're talking about what makes a practice truly effective. How should coaches design them? How should players approach them? What separates practices that simply fill an hour from the ones that genuinely change players? That's the conversation we're going to have today, and it's an important one. I talked with Mike off the air before. It has scared me how many coaches show up to practice not just without a plan, but just winging it. I don't understand how anybody can do that. Hopefully we're going to remedy that today. Joining us to help with that conversation is Chris Howard from Ice Hockey Systems, a company that has helped thousands of coaches around the world build smarter, more engaging practices and better player development environments. So we've got an Olympic gold medalist. We've got a guy that works with those. We got a master practice maker in Mike Bonelli and some schmo who's hosting this. Guys, I'm excited for this episode. Chris, first off, welcome to Our Girls Play Hockey.
Hey, thanks so much, Lee. Excited to be here and can't wait to have a fun conversation with all of you.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you too, buddy. Like, I'm excited for this. We'll call it panel today because everyone brings something to the table in terms of making really great practices. Hayley, I'm going to start with you, right? You practiced at every level, literally from youth hockey to college to Team USA to PWHL. Looking back, what did the best coaches consistently do in practice that made players better?
Well, in my youth days, my dad was my coach. And so he spent hours organizing practices. Like he always had some sort of like compete in there, in most of the drills, there was always some level of that where it really forced you to like play up and make sure you were like practicing your hardest.
Yeah.
And then we also did a lot of like game system stuff. So to make sure we were kind of all on the same page. So we would do a lot of like, team structure. What did our forecheck look like? What did faceoffs look like? D zone, like different things like that. And then just adding in games to make it more competitive and things like that. And then as you get older, obviously, maybe it changes. Like when you're in college, like each day of the week is like a different day that you're focusing on stuff. Like it's harder at the beginning of the week, but then easier at the end of the week. And you're maybe focusing more on like power play, penalty kill, more systems based. Then you get to the pro league and it's a whole different ball game because it really just depends on your game schedule. Like at first you're practicing a lot and there may be like really high tempo. And then by the end of the season, you're pretty much just going out there to maybe get some skills touches in and maybe just to do power play, penalty kill, face offs. And it's a lot slower usually. So it really just depends. But I think the key is to have it organized, to have an intention in the practice, something that you are intentionally working on that you maybe noticed in the game before. So I think those are all, really important things.
Yeah, Ellie, we should say too, like a big distinction between pro practices and I'd actually say like almost everything else is that you got to remember pro hockey players and teams are kind of paid to win, right? So when you have that, like the games are the key to that model. Right? Not that practices don't matter, they're not important, but they're to correct things to be better in these games that you have to win. And people can literally lose their job if you're not doing a good job with that. But it changes the nature of how you would approach a practice in a pro environment. You're expected to come in with some of these things. I love what you said, though, about the youth and the college environment. About it's not just about putting in a little bit of thought. I love that you said, well, my dad spent a lot of time on practices, right? I don't think this is something, I'm going to throw this out to the group a little bit here, that you should be winging. All right. I put some thought into this. No, you put thought into picking the 4 drills that you do every practice and maybe changing up a little bit about how you're doing that drill in this practice. If you really want to coach well, you've got to put a little more than just some thought into your practice. You've got to take the time. Guys, I'm going to open this up a little bit. Like, I think at least an hour a week, I think is probably the appropriate amount of time. I think it's a good amount of time to dive into it. Chris, I'll go to you real quick on that too. Just thoughts on like how much time should we be spending to create a practice?
Yeah, like every single team and situation is different. Like I could have a U12 practice that is great for my team, but not great for another U12 team, and so it's hard to like kind of put a time on it. I think the key to practice is building connections. You got to be able to connect to your team, and you got to be able to build the practice to connect to your team's game and what you're trying to improve on. So I think instead of starting, like, you never want practice to feel like 5 random drills thrown together, right? You want to start with the objective. What does my team need to work on? Where are they at in their development? Where are we at in our season goals? And kind of defining like what the objective is, and then building the practice, kind of starting backwards, stripping it down and building it up. And make sure there's connectivity in between each drill. And, like having things organized and kind of categorized is great. But like when people come on our site, like we don't want to replace creativity. We want to spark it. So we want somebody to maybe see a piece of content on our site and say, hey, this is going to be great. Like we want to work on puck protection today. I love this drill, but my team's struggling along the wall. Like, let's start this drill off. Let's add this wrinkle in. Let's create different layers, or, hey, this drill's a little too complex. Let's take layers down. So I think as a coach, I think the most important things, like, start with the objective, build your practice from there, and make sure it's connecting the whole game's about connection, like, and same with drills. Like I kind of realized before, we don't really ask if like it's a good drill anymore. I ask, like, does it connect? Does it connect the players to today's objectives? Does it connect skills to the game? Does it connect decisions to consequences and enjoyment to their development? So to me, I think like it's hard to put a time on it. I think you do need to prepare. I think preparation probably looks so much different at different levels and how much as a coach. But yeah, I think like being prepared is so important. And also the willingness to deviate from your plan. So many coaches have like, I need to do this for 12 minutes, and 12 minutes hits and they're on to the next one when, hey, there's some great things happening and maybe that's better. And maybe we cut something out later. So yeah, I think like preparation is important, but knowing where to start preparing. And to me, that's with the objective. What do you want your team and your players to get better at?
Yeah, I think that connection piece is so important. Like we all, as coaches, we think, oh, if I run a really cool practice and I've got to change it next week, and then next week it's different, and then next week it's different. Like I think that part of that connection is the kids, the players, having the coaches, anybody else helping on the ice, having the ability to look at the progression. And I think the best coaches take very simple skills and techniques and then build on them as they go. They don't expect them to be mastered in on a Tuesday and switch the whole practice on a Thursday. And I think the younger levels, like you'll see pro coaches now, and even Hayley, right? You go out to practice, you have your core drills. Like you're running through things that there's no whiteboarding, there's no going back and re-explaining. There's not a lot of frustration because you're not adding something completely new that's foreign to everyone. It's something where the positive, quality repetitions are really what we want out of our players. And I think, when you go to a place like that has these drills, pre-planned for you and has the definitions of them and why we're doing them, those are the type of drills I'd like to take and then incorporate into my season plan and say, I don't need to do this once. I might need to do it, like if I'm working with an 8U group, I might need to do it for 10 weeks. the same plan, until we're getting it and understanding the drills behind it. I think on the other side of this, from the perspective of the coach and the volunteer dad and mom and the person putting the time in, and to Lee's point, it's not just about the amount of time it takes for you to do the drills and plan your practices. It's about the amount of time that you're asking me to be on the ice with you. So I say this all the time. If you invite me to your practice and you don't have a plan, I'm not stepping on the ice. I can't do, I'm not a cone pusher. Like, I don't want to guess what you're doing next. Your players are guessing, your assistant coaches are guessing, everyone on the ice is guessing. Have a plan, execute that plan, but make sure everyone knows it so that we can maximize the time we have for our ice.
Yeah, fully agree. Like, it's so sad to see wasted time on the ice. You go to the rink, a coach is at the whiteboard for 5 minutes. The pucks aren't in the right spot, or they keep changing, where the nuts are when, they were in the perfect spot like 2 drills ago. They didn't connect it right, and
yeah,
it breaks my heart to see that. So yeah, being prepared and having your assistants on the same page on what the practice is and the objectives, so they can take through what their teaching points are too.
Can I just add one thing, Chris? Because I loved how you're and Hayley talked about too, about the connection of the athlete and the player. This is when, if you're a really good head coach and you're organized and you can build plans, this is when you get to go out and talk to your players. This is if you're running a drill because your 2 or 3 assistant coaches have no idea what you're doing, you're not connecting with your athletes. This is your time to be able to say, hey, listen, Chris is running the drill over there. Hayley's got that station going over there. I can now go and talk and pull that player out and talk to that player and watch the player and communicate with other members of the team, get to know all these players in a different way in a practice setting. That I think it goes really under notice by really good coaches, that they're able to delegate and then really be the coach, be the person that's actually coaching, not just running a drill.
Yeah, I want to bring up too, guys, that because you brought up realistic objectives. I think it's important we spend a minute on that, because I think sometimes coaches have objectives that are not realistic. All right. And I see this all the time. I'll use something as simple as a breakout, right? It will go younger. If your kids don't have the fundamentals down, passing, receiving a pass with speed, getting their head up, I don't care how many times you practice this breakout, you're probably not going to get it down, or it's going to take a lot longer to get it down than if you break it down. So the objective has to be broken down, right? What coach wouldn't want a great breakout, right? And I hear coaches say this all the time, Mike, Hayley, if we could just get the breakout down. Well, your kids can't pass, all right? That's why they're not getting work on passing for 5 weeks and you'll get a breakout down. Or if you want to go even further to advancing it, taking the blinders off and just having the hockey IQ to see the ice and see what your opponents are doing. And there's drills to that. My objective today is better vision, better scanning. Right. But I want to talk about that, because realistic objectives, not just for the players, but for the coaches. Mike made a great point of how you're running the practice. Is it realistic for one person to be running the practice by themselves, or is it more realistic to delegate different coaches to different players? Quick example, at the start of my youth season this year, again, I coach at different age groups. The first 4 practices, my goal is to have 4 different coaches, myself and my assistants, run a practice. That way we will see which players respond to which coach, which drills they respond to. Is there a player that coach A gets along with better than coach B? These are all things you got to know before you go in. All right. Everyone learns a little bit differently, right? Again, Hayley, I'm going to throw it back to you real quick. Obviously your dad is a special coach in your life. I'm sure you've worked with coaches that got you and didn't get you throughout your career, right?
Yeah, I think not every coach is necessarily for every player, and that's just the nature of how it goes. And but I think there's something you can always learn from any of your coaches, and it's a different perspective you can take away. But not every coach you're gonna necessarily connect with on that level,
Right.
and that's okay. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with either side. It's just how things go sometimes. And I think I have found something I've learned from every single coach that I've had.
Right.
But there's definitely been ones I've connected with more. And obviously, my dad is obviously someone I struggled with also at times, but also connected with and understood where he was coming from now, especially with hindsight. And have continued to learn a lot from.
Well, I'll say too, you can learn from both good and bad experiences, right? I think that's what separates some of the greats from not so greats is you can't pick and choose when you learn. You learn from everything, right? And I love what you said. Like, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Look, I've been on the bench. This has happened, Mike. I'm sure this happened to you. Like, where I've had one kid, let's say a high level, one kid say to me, "Listen, I really like it when you get on me and that you're really on top of me. I don't want you to sugarcoat it. Like, you can be mean." And the exact same team had an athlete going, "Look, I don't really respond well when you yell at me or when you're hard on me. I just there's a certain way to talk to me." Think about that, parents. Like, you might go, "That's great. You know how they're motivated." Well, I can't go from one side of the bench telling someone how horrible they're playing or how I want them to do something, and then go to the other side of the bench and be like, "It's okay. Just let's try this next time." Like, there has to be a consistency. While it's good that I know how they're motivated, there's a two-way street with this where the players also have to know how I like to coach. All right. And once there's an understanding and a trust built up, and what I try and do is I always say, look, I will always tell you the truth. I probably won't sugarcoat it too much. But if you need extra reinforcement after the game or after the practice, we can have a one-on-one. That's how I try and monitor these things. But I've seen coaches screaming to being nice to, across the emotional gamut. But I think that has to play into it too. I don't want to stray away from practice this year. Mike, I know you have a question about drills, and I want to get to that just to stay on track.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I mean, obviously, Chris said too, everybody has a different philosophy. Everybody has a different mindset. Everybody has different skills they have to work on. Everybody has different schedules they're working with. I mean, half of us are working with 2 or 3 practices a week, and maybe we get 50 minutes of usable ice. And then you have other programs. Like, I used to get so jealous when I was coaching in college. I'm like, I have way too much time. Like 2 hours every single day. Like, I could do anything I want. Like, how am I not getting these guys better? But I think, it's like, so maybe, and I could have used Chris, years and years ago, right? But what do you think really makes a truly effective drill? And I know, like, being involved at USA Hockey and Hockey Canada and now the international level, like all of these, we've evolved so much from like block training drills that have to look a certain way to then being more effective in the game. Like, what are some things that you would like check off the box, like, wow, that's a great drill for my players to use?
Yeah, I think like almost look at drills as the vehicle and then connection to the game as the destination. And what that looks like is it could be so different. Like, you could have one drill that has 20 teaching points. You're never going to teach all 20, right? But like, if you look at the drill and what's happening within it, like, oh, I can teach puck protection here. I can teach slip passes. I can teach, stripping pucks away. Like, every drill. So I think it's all about how you're able to communicate with your players and connect it to how they're going to be able to apply it in the game. And I think like embracing chaos is a great thing. It's never going to look perfect. Like, I love kind of the push being made to CLA. And what's happening there. I need to learn more about it. I'm excited to dig in more, but I think like I really think like, the move to small area games is great, but like the players need to know the objective. Coaches need to put in constraints. They need to change the scoring up to get across, what they're trying to teach. So a great drill, it's so hard, but to me, it's just the vehicle, and the destination is how you can connect that drill to the game. And I don't know if I answered your question, Mike.
No. But again, that's I think going right back to being prepared, right? Because that educational piece, the connection of the player, the person in the stands watching, and the person on the ice teaching has to be made. And I think that's why if you come unprepared, like, I'm a practice plan sharer. Like, I will share I literally will leave my practices laying out in ranks, hoping somebody will look at it. Like,
we all should do that.
Please, like, I'll leave it out strategically for some of our coaches. Like, please, just look at this. Stop doing what you're doing. Like, 40 minutes of 3-on-3 cross ice. You're killing me right now. But there's no constraints. There's no learning. There's no thought process. It's just, again, I get play. But I think this is where, if I'm going to do that though, right, Chris, if I'm going to say I'm going to do a constraint-based teaching, I'm going to make it look like the game, I'm going to embrace chaos, we have to educate the parent. Like, we have to educate the person that doesn't understand that chaos is good and structure is bad when it comes to learning how to play hockey.
Yes. And I do think, like, you know, there's the pendulum like really swings super far both ways, right? Like there's room for you got to develop skills too. And like there are certain drill setups where they're learning it themselves, but there's some where you need reps. You need a lot of reps. So I think like a balance with everything is good, and not trying to swing it too far in one direction where you're all skills, or too far in direction where you're all small area games or all constraint led. I think like like it's all about balance. And I think like at the end of the day, like, you know, your practice that you leave behind could be great for you. And maybe a coach hopefully picks it up and it's not a carbon copy for them, because you're going to teach it a lot different on the ice, but maybe it sparks an idea. And I think like that's what you need to do as a coach, not just take and, I'm going to do these 5 drills because I saw them on a cool website. Like, no, like how can I make this fit to my team and fit towards where I'm trying to get my team to go, no matter where you're at and what age level you're at.
You know, I wrote this down. You guys will have this, Mike, because this is true. Mike helped me run a training camp that I recently ran, and he did a bunch of drills that I loved. And Mike, I wrote down on my paper here, I said, I stole your drill. And then I crossed out the word stole and I wrote borrowed, because I did. You did a drill, Noble's drill, that I really loved, and I applied it to my next practice. And that's how it should be evolving, right? Now, we made some great points here. Someone said the word chaos. And before we get into the parent side of that, I know Hayley's got a great question about the parent side of that. I don't know how to explain to people, because we're all hockey people here. And this is, I'm about to say something you're either going to get or you're not going to get. I don't know how to explain to people that the chaos of that game is the most peaceful place in the world for me. Right? If you play, you get it. If you play hockey, you understand this. The chaos of the game is peaceful to hockey players. Is it violent? Sure. Is it fast? Of course. Is it crazy? Absolutely. Is it peaceful? It kind of is. I don't know how to explain that. Maybe every hockey player in the world is an ADHD person that's undiagnosed, but it's a very peaceful place. All right. Now, with that said, this brings me to my question. Because it is so chaotic, when you're coaching hockey, specifically youth hockey for the nature of this show, you can't be chaotic with how much you're bringing to the kids. You've got to have very clear objectives, like we're saying. And I think one of the main problem points I have, or one of the main mistakes that I see at practices by coaches, is they bring 6, 7, 8 different things we're going to work on today, when there's just no way even an adult could comprehend and remember 6, 7, or 8 things. I always say, for me, and this you can change this a little bit, my magic number is 3. When I bring a youth hockey team, even a national team, I go, these are the 3 things I want you to walk away with today. We're going to be doing a lot of work on a lot of different drills. I want you to leave with a better understanding. If we're doing passing, I just use passing a lot, of catching a pass on your backhand, making a pass in motion, and being accurate with your pass. Kids, repeat back to me what I said, and they will. Now they've got it in their head. Okay, now we know the objective. Passing is the overall objective, and we want to get better at these 3 things, right? And then with that said, when you're out there as coaches, you've got to know those 3 things, because you can't divert and go, oh, no, that shot was bad. I want you to shoot like this. No. We're not working on shooting today, all right? Like, we're working on passing, like within reason, obviously, coaches. You know what I'm saying, okay? But that's my question to the group, right? How do you find that balance? How do you create those 3 objectives? Like, if you're looking at a team, right, it's you got to be able to break it down, right? Hayley, I actually am going to throw this to you. We'll start pro and we'll kind of come around the group here. But now follow me here, because at the pro level or the Olympic level, it's probably pretty specific what you're trying to get better at. And you guys are all trained. Like, I don't think you go out there and your coach goes, hey, we got 15 things to fix today, right? Like, it's probably like little tiny things, right, that you're trying to get better at.
Yeah, it's usually very like small things that you're usually trying to focus on. But Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely different. I think sometimes we'd also work on like small skills that were unique, and then we would also apply that to the practice itself. So like you would work on these skills for like 10 or 15 minutes prior to practice and then incorporate those skills later into practice.
Right.
And I think that was super helpful. And then you would do it in the small game setting that would happen after. But again, this is like with older players who are more intentional and like kind of understand the concept of the skill and like when and where you would probably use that skill so that
Right.
you can then work on it during the practice and then eventually in games.
But it's still simplified, right? So the point I'm
Yeah.
making is that like I think there's a misconception. Oh, in pro hockey, it must be so complicated. Everything must be
No.
so complicated. It's like it's the opposite because
Yeah.
they built up the skills over time, right?
Yeah.
We've got
I
to work
mean,
on this.
yeah, we'll literally work on like wall play where you stand in front of the net, the coach rims the puck, you pick it up and you go in and shoot. Like that's the whole drill. Like you're not doing anything like revolutionary or crazy.
Right.
It's a small skill that you need in the game. And then again, you work on that later in practice in different ways. But yeah, it's very simple things most of the time. So I think sometimes we overcomplicate things that we need to work on. It's like, no, it's
Right.
very simple things that happen in hockey most of the time that you just
It-
need to repetition.
if it's good enough for the pros, all right. Now I'm gonna throw it to you, Chris. Like with your thoughts on that, right? Like coaches should be bringing simplified objectives to practice, not just 15 different things they got to work on.
Without question. I think 3 is a great number. If you get it to 2, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And and I think like understanding like how to build it. Like you're not going to have like wall play and puck support and breakouts as your 3.
Right.
Like the objective might be
Good luck
we
with
need
that.
to get better along the wall. So
Right.
like, all right, we're going to work on winning the race to the puck line, not the puck. We're going to work on moving our feet after first puck touch. We're going to move on maybe some skate deception when you're picking the puck up. Like
Right.
I think really dialing it in and then building it up, like Hayley said, like starting simple. One thing, like I just got a couple ideas I would love to share. One thing that I've seen a lot is when coaches start a practice with a smaller A game, it really ramps up competition like right away. And if you do it every practice, like your players are excited to be there. Like they can't wait. And it gets the juices flowing. It gets everybody engaged right away. And like, so you can like start with it, maybe add the constraints, tell them what you're trying to work on. And then you might be able to end with the same game and see what they picked up and how they improved on. And the other thing I heard, I picked this up from a goalie coach up in Toronto, Tony Bockwell. So this is probably for the older levels, but he has 2 coaches explain the drill differently. Like it's the same drill, but he'll take the forward group with one coach and he'll take the D group with another coach, because like when you're trying to share one drill with the whole group, everybody knows what the forwards are going to try to do. The D knows, and the forwards know what the D are trying to do. So it's another way to maybe get some more objectives across, but through your based on defense or forwards. And this is for the older levels. But I thought it was like, how have I not heard this before? Like, what a brilliant idea. Like the D, here, your 3 teaching points for this drill or for this practice. Here's what we're working on. Forwards might have 3 slightly different ones. Maybe there's some crossover, but just a tip that I picked up recently. Shout out to Tony for that I loved. I thought it was a great kind of unique approach. I don't recommend it for youth, like too young. You want everybody kind of like on one page learning something, but I thought it was a nice little pickup that I wanted to share.
Yeah, I think I love that. I mean, we've done this for a long time where, we'll give 2 different directions to groups and we'll say, okay, this group that's playing defense, this guy's the designated passer. Like nobody else knows that. The other team doesn't know it, but everyone else knows it has to get to this player X. And what happens is it just eliminates I'm just going to go to the wall and stop the play and throw it out of this game. Like if I have to retrieve the puck and go find X, and the other player's like, why the hell is he doing that? Like, that's not even the play. Like, there is no play. That's the whole point of hockey. Like, anything can happen. So I think it's a great, it's a great, recommendation for a coach. And we do it at the mite level. You just tell a kid, hey, listen, every time the other team gets the puck, you're the only one allowed to get it back. And you'll see the whole game changes because all of a sudden this one little kid's ripping around trying to steal the puck from somebody. And the other 4 are standing around like, what the hell am I supposed to, what should I do? I don't know, go to a place where he's not. So I think all these little things are great teaching points that aren't block drills. And, going back to the pro to youth side of these development of practice planning, it really does go back to who are you, who's your team, how much ice do you have. You'll see the pros. They'll work on 20 minutes. 3 guys will sit at the face-off circle and work on face-offs. That's all they work on. Like everybody else, this guy might be working on tip-ins. This other team in the corner might be working on, board drills and puck protection. And somebody else might be just working on drop the puck. But these are the kind of things that our youth programs can definitely replicate, because everything, and I know I'm deviating from the script, but if you talk about like how important is it for coaches to plan their practices off the ice as well? Like, what are all the things they can do that don't need my 50 minutes of on ice instruction?
Yeah. So like your practices come from the games. Like watching the game is an amazing way to learn, and finding a clip. You could go find a clip and build a practice from it. Like, hey, look at what Macklin Celebrini did. Your players love Macklin Celebrini. Look what Hayley Scamurra did in this game. Connect, like it's another way to connect, is show them. You don't need to show 20 minutes of film. Show a 30-second clip on what a player did in a game, and then you can strip it down and build a practice from there. I feel like as coaches, and this I got this from Daryl Belfry, but like you should have a 100% responsibility in developing your players. You should give it 100%. And when you talk to players, you want to tell them it's your responsibility. You give it 100%. And if both of them have that mindset, I think that's where magic can happen.
I'll say this too. One of the coolest phrases I ever heard, that it's not necessarily a hockey phrase, but it applies to what you just said, was I was talking one time about like what makes a great friend, right? And you could turn that into teammate here, or coach and player. And the definition or the saying was interesting to me. It was, I'll take care of me if you promise to take care of you. Or, if you take care of you, I promise to take care of me. And that really was a great definition to me, because it's not about me necessarily taking care of you. I'll be there for you. But I think that the coach-player dynamic is, okay, players, you take care of you and I'll take care of me, and we'll create something special together. Meaning I'll do my work, I'll do my job, make sure we're prepared, but you've got to put the effort out, but we both got to give 100%. Here's something I don't think a lot of people know. Players know, coaches, when you wing a practice, because it's not fun. All right? It's just not a fun practice. Here's another thought. I would venture to guess that 90% of youth practices start with goal line skating drills. Skate to the blue line and back, or go around the circles, or it's the same 20 drills that I've seen for 40 plus years over and over again. One of the things that, Mike, you do so well on this show is try and break the thinking of the apropos. I love, Chris, that you just said, start the drill with a competitive game. I agree, right? You want to get your kids to have better starts in games, start by getting the competition going right away. Here's another thing, parents and coaches. I think we sometimes make the misconception of, well, they got to warm up. No, we got to warm up because we're in our 40s. All right? It takes us 20 minutes to warm up. Kids don't need that much of a warm up. They can be ready in 5 minutes at a younger age. Go ahead.
I will say, so for the last 6 or 7 years, I don't think I've ever started a team practice without a competition. It's structured. It's like too. They know there's a chart. Like they know what team they're on. The white team's playing the blue team. There's a score. There's hatred. There's I hate this kid. This kid cheats. All that kind of stuff. And they literally are fighting 15 minutes into practice. It's a bloodbath. But it's funny, when I tried to do this with the Whale, I was with the Whale for 1 year, and I thought, I'm going to be the most progressive coach in the world. And the women hated it. The goalies hated it. They're like, this is not our routine. This is like, because it all depends on the level, right? These are pro women. They're coming up, they're not in a training environment. So it all depends on, know your team. I love the competition piece, but I think, now again, I wouldn't go to the reverse and do red line, blue line drills. But there's a lot of, knowing like routine at the level you have, and then building in. When I'm working with 8-year-olds, I could literally play a game for the first 20 minutes is the best thing I could ever do. If I did a circle drill with 8-year-olds, like it might be the worst thing they've done all week. And because it's just chaos and not in a good way. But I think to your point, and it goes back to what Chris said earlier, know your team, know your level, know how much ice you have, plan. And I think more importantly, to everyone's point about, winging it, it's like, well, it's easy. The technology exists. Print the damn plan out and have it sitting there for the kids, or email it to them, or text it to them. Whatever you have to do,
Put it on
make
the board.
sure everyone in your team knows what you're doing.
I always have my practice plan on the glass for someone to peek at it, for me to peek at. Like, I don't always remember everything I put on there. It's like, sometimes I gotta go, oh yeah, that's right. That's what we're doing next. But I'm just challenging the coaches out there. It's okay to switch it up. I'm a fan of starting practices. Again, my women's team, Mike, they love that. All right. Yeah. I'm a fan of starting practices with the competition. I don't think it's wrong in the middle of a practice for youth hockey to do skating in the middle. That's when in the game you need them to really be skating. That's when they start to slow down. At the end can be a little bit of a punishment if you're not careful, right? I'm just saying you can rethink how these are done. It doesn't have to be the same thing all the time. Now, speaking of that, all right, we put the time in to create the practices. The kids show up for the practices, but when we look up at the stands, the parents are there watching the practices. And parents, let me tell you something. You probably have no idea what we're doing, do you? You probably don't know what we're doing or why we're doing it, or why your kid's a your kid's a defenseman. Why are they doing the offensive drill? Let's get some perspective on the parents. Hayley, I think you got a question for that one.
Yeah. What should parents kind of look for to tell them that a practice is productive? And what are like the signs of it's like a good, healthy environment where the kids can get better beyond like they're just skating really hard, right? Like not just doing like lines or back and forth or the Herb Brooks drill, right? Like what shows that what shows that like the players are in an environment where they're going to get better?
To me, it has nothing to do with what's happening on the ice. It should be how your child feels on the way to the rink and how they feel coming back. And if they're excited to go, if they're happy after and they learned some stuff, what more should it be? Instead of nitpicking what's happening on the ice, like, is your child excited to go to practice on a Tuesday night after a long day? And if they are, I got my kid in a good spot. And stop worrying so much about what's happening on the ice and more about your child's connection to the team, their teammates, and the coach. And I think that's what a good environment is. But
Chris,
that's
how
just
dare you bring logic to this conversation?
I think my most successful foray into this kind of education was a series I did many years ago with a bunch of learn to play parents. And it was like, why we do this. Like, it was the actual drill, the video, and the why. Like, why are we playing soccer? Why are we playing tag? Why are we playing, and Steve Brunner, he'll love this, from the Junior Rangers. Why are we playing, My Little Pony? Like, we're doing all these drills with 7 and 8 year olds, and there's a reason behind them. And one of the things is it does not look like hockey. It's nothing to do with hockey. It's all about edges and stopping and turning and competing and reading and reacting. And I think that's ultimately, why it is our obligation. It's our duty as coaches to educate, especially at the youngest levels, so the entry level parent. Like, tell me why I'm doing this, and I'm all in. You're the expert. But tell me why. Like, if I'm guessing, and we all know what happens, like when people assume, right? They're just looking and they go, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. But there's a rhyme and reason, right, Chris? And then, really quickly, like how would you go about doing that? Like, what would be your process to tell those parents, like, listen, this is why we do these drills?
Yeah, I think it all starts, I think so much about hockey in a season. There's so many ups and downs, right? For each individual player, for the parent, for the teams, for the coach. And it's all about setting those expectations at the beginning of the year. And I think explaining to them then, like, hey, my practices are going to look different than maybe what you're used to. And here's why. And this is why. Like, I'm taking a different approach. I want your kids to love the game. Something might look off, but I promise you everything is planned and intentional, and there's a reason for it. And if you ever have a question why, feel free to ask. But I think setting those expectations before the season starts, and that goes with everything, with your ice time, with the way what's important to you, winning versus development. And But then as a coach, you have to stick with it. Like if we're going to play equal ice time and it's the playoffs, you got to stick with it. And I think like those preseason meetings, then maybe reiterating it throughout the year, that's how I would tackle it. But expectations are critical to set as a coach. And then reminding parents if, they get upset, hey, remember we talked about this. This is why. But as a coach, you need to be prepared and you need to give it what you have and do what's best for the kids and their enjoyment of the game. And part of that is getting better.
But let me ask this too. We're talking about a lot of the players as well. In our pre-talks, Chris, you made some really great points about how players should be approaching practice, right? I'd love to have a discussion about that too. Not just mentally, I guess physically, no matter when the practice is. Like, what are your thoughts on that, on how players should be approaching the game away from the game?
Yeah, I think like players, it's almost two different practices can be happening, right? The coach has his practice and a player can have their practice, and each player could have their own individual practice. And I think like sometimes it can be on the player to be far more intentional with what they're trying to get out of it. There could be one player who's getting so much out of this practice and the next one's not. And as a coach, you want to try to identify that, help, bring those players who might be struggling up. But like you as a player you could be a little different every rep. Like maybe don't change the routes, but change a little bit of the route, change the way you're accepting a pass, try something different. Don't come down and take the same shot 20 times in a row. I think like players can be different every rep. I think players can cheer on teammates. It's going to help themselves feel better. It's going to help like noticing the little things. Like I think players can get so much better at practicing and being intentional about the way they practice. I'd love to hear from Hayley. Like, was there a moment you realized you might be able to get more out of practice than the person next to you? And how was your approach to it?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I really was intentional with my practices until maybe like pro season. I think in college it got very repetitive and you just were used to doing the same things on the same days. Like you got stuck into the routine a little bit. And I think my game got more mature as obviously I got older and I started to want to improve on the little things in my game more. Not that I didn't in college, but I think I really got more curious, more intentional, more like asking more questions about it, like more confident in myself to go out and do that and to go work on skills that maybe I wasn't necessarily that good at. And okay to look like an idiot out there sometimes, like if you will, and obviously I don't like to say that about myself, but like, you're going to fall, you're going to mess up. You're not going to get the best shot off when you're working on something new. And I think it's okay to not look your best when you're working on improving those skills. So I think I would say when I hit like pro with the Buffalo Buttes and stuff, I think I started to really get intentional with my practice. Like, hey, I really want to work on this today. And that's something I would focus on the whole practice. And I still continue to do that today.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Chris, I mean, if you're building your practices, I mean, what kind of thought process should a coach think about, incorporating a different like drill or a different activity and even a different definition for an offense and a defense? You talked a little bit about, two coaches talking to the defense and offense in different ways, but how much effort can a coach put in to making sure they can work on those fundamental skills that all players have to have? Like a left winger has to know how to play defense and vice versa. And that in today's modern game, you look at goal scorers, like you watch Colorado Avalanche, you're like, is that guy a right winger? No, that's Cal McCarr. He's right. So you look at these players like, how is that possible? So what are players, we talk about intentional practices, what are coaches need to do to incorporate that into how they build their program?
Yeah. I mean, I think it starts like the player's ability to have an intentional practice starts well before a coach even plans it, right? Like they need to know, coaches need to encourage players to try different things. They need to encourage them to fail as they're learning. And they need to like have that culture where teammates cheer each other on over the little things, not just the big things. And like when you look at from a player's side, like that's what I want my players to do. I want them to be different in reps. I want them to cheer the little things. Somebody has a great stick. hey, great stick, Hayley. That was incredible. And like, that might be something, it's not a pretty goal or it's not this fancy play, but like little things like that. So to me, it starts so much before the practice prep. It's the culture that you're building. And then even what better thing as a coach for your players to be arranging their own competitions. Like, hey, I'm going against her today. Like, come on, Hayley, I'm going to beat you today. I'm going to beat you to this puck. You know, like if you see as a coach, if you can step back and see your players doing this, you facilitated that environment. And I think this isn't my own thoughts. I've learned this from Daryl Belfry. We did a whole series with him on the practice mindset. So I'm regurgitating what he said. I have to give him credit for it, but what better thing as a coach so if you, Mike, I'm not answering your question, but I think it starts far beyond the practice planning itself. It's having that culture where players are comfortable to try new things, to pick each other up, to arrange competition. And as a coach, you might have to start doing it, but then eventually you're like, hey, like, do I have to dump this puck in or can you do it? And you let them do it, and then you can maybe start doing a little teaching, like remove yourself.
I think that positive communication is contagious, right? I mean, when I work with our little brick kids, and when they, that's one of the first things we talk about. The first hour that they're in the rink is, find 3 things every single time you step on the ice to praise your teammates about. Not go overboard. You don't have to praise somebody for having a bad goal or a goal again, but you have to find a little way. Hey, thanks. Oh, that pass was unbelievable. Or, I can't believe I didn't get open for you there. Or I really liked that. You made that play. That was an awesome play. Great shift. Like these are contagious for players. And when you're a coach and you hear that culture changing, you can start to now challenge your kids so much more in practice because they're not like they're not walking on eggshells thinking, oh, if I make a mistake, I'm going to get yelled at in front of, 14 other kids and players. It's more like, no, I'm going to get praised for, wow, I can't believe you just tried that. Like that didn't work out great, but wow, was that a great effort to try it and the player able to do it? I think that's, an unbelievable way to set culture and set, the opportunity for players to succeed and fail in in today's, in a safe environment where they're not feeling like, oh, I'm getting shut down now for the next, 2 games. So that's awesome.
Yeah, cool.
So Ice Hockey Systems has become one of the go-to coaching resources in hockey. So I kind of want to learn more about how your platform helps coaches create better practices and what kind of problems it solves for coaches.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a fun journey. It's myself, Scott Gergen, Nils Satterstrom are my 2 partners. The 3 of us are in it every single day. We've grown to over 35,000 coaches using our site, subscribed. So we have a big responsibility to be putting out great content, and we've evolved so much over time. And we continue to. We're never happy with where the site is. We just want to keep pushing and getting better. But yeah, we have a site that has everything organized by age level and by category. So when you're looking to build off an idea, when you're looking for an area your team can improve on, you can find drills and activities that fit within that. And then same with the coach education side. So we're definitely known for drills, but our coach education product has been massive lately. I think we're over a couple hundred videos. We're very fortunate to get to sit down and talk with some of the best hockey minds in the world. We just interviewed 12 NHL coaches in Pittsburgh a few weekends ago. Hayley, I got to sit down with you and Hayley Wynn last week. I've been blessed to interview Scotty Bowman and all these amazing hockey minds and kind of learn from them and try to take some things and make it digestible for the busy coach. So we really help people, I think, identify some ideas and hopefully spark new ideas and then really stay organized. So when you create a practice on Ice Hockey Systems, you can send out, it's called a shareable URL. And then everybody who has it, you don't need a login. You can view all the videos for the practice. So instead of just seeing a printout, it has a bunch of lines and squiggles and some writing nobody wants to read. You could actually watch watch what you're doing. You can include game clips in it. We have a license with the NHL, which is really cool. So you could show the game clip and have it connected as part of the practice. And for the older players, we know they love that side of it, to know what they're getting into when they get to the rink. Younger players, we don't recommend sending it out, but to the assistant coaches, it's awesome too, to see the video of the drill being done. So yeah, it's been I've been at this for 15 years. It started off as a hobby and finally was able to get into it full time about 5 years ago. And we got a long way to go, but we are on the way. And it feels good to help coaches and work with great people. We're very blessed.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the video aspect with the drills, because we would always get a practice plan for Montreal and all the squiggles. I go, it's too many lines. I'm like, I literally can't even process this right now. Like I'm a very visual learner, so that spoke to me.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, the video's it's a big it's really like our strength. Like we spend a ton of time on our videos and getting the right reps and not showing perfect reps too, right? Like it's not perfect. But yeah, I think it's a big differentiator for us is how we're organized and the quality of the video, and then the ability to organize your own thoughts. We've had so many, I think we have over 800,000 drills drawn on our site every single year. It's a lot. So coaches are using it to organize their thoughts, and, you don't have to keep a binder, you keep it fresh, and you could add your own videos to it and then combine it with our content. So yeah, it's been people using our tools has been something we're super grateful for, and it also shows that like maybe we can develop more for them, more content where they don't have to draw their own stuff. They can take from us and hopefully add some wrinkles to it. So
yeah, the conversation evolves, the communication evolves, right? It makes you wonder how they did this before the internet. And it was just guys like you said, which have gigantic notebooks of drills. I've seen them, and they kind of pick and choose what they wanted. And in the digital age, it's great that we have a resource that can allow us to not just draw drills, but find drills and explore drills and say, hey, I want to do something on this today, and search for that and find something valuable or something you can build on with that. Before we get out of here today, we'll do a little bit of a rapid fire. We've given all of you listeners a lot of actionable items today, from, again, coaches to parents to players. But let's finish with one more takeaway for each member of the family. All right, so we'll do this real quick. So for coaches, the question is, what's one thing you change tomorrow to make all practices more effective, Chris? I want to ask you that.
I would say your ability to think outside the box and make sure that you keep connection in mind with every practice.
That's a good one. I'm actually going to throw this one to you, Hayley. For players, you're a player. Yeah, you'll be fine. What's a habit you'd like to see players start tomorrow to get more out of a practice?
I just think keeping the compete level up is super important throughout all of practice. I think sometimes you can get stuck in the routine and lose the compete part. So just always staying competitive with yourself and your teammates.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer, because I think compete is not something that's coached enough, right? And like you said, it can get monotonous if you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And then we wonder why in the games they don't have this level of compete. That's something that comes from us. Mike, this one's probably for you and me, but for the parents, right? One mindset shift that better supports your child's development through the practice. Again, Chris, you said it really well about, man, just enjoy it and be supportive. But what's another thing, Mike, the parents can do to approach practice a little differently?
I think just take the opportunity that you see your child, in practice and what they're doing, and then build on that. Like, don't expect your player to get better in 15 minutes. Like one drill, one practice, one great, good or bad. Oh my God, my son did a flow drill and he scored on every single shift. He must be the top left winger on the team. Like, just find ways to see practice in a bigger view. And then you as a parent have to take those skills and say, wow, my son's not a great stick handler. I can see that. And then maybe I could do that at home. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do that in different ways. And I think, and I think more important, more on my side, be appreciative of how much work that coaching staffs go through. And when you see a coach with a practice plan that's been shared, that's been built, and that's been thought out, you have to understand, even with ice hockey systems and other, technology, it is a lot of work to put those together and just appreciate how much work goes into that.
Yeah, and then my follow-up to that is it's one of like three things, parents, right? If you're gonna watch the practice like intently, enjoy it. Enjoy seeing the kids skate and have fun. You know, just like Chris said, just it's a magical place. Like, enjoy it. That's one side of it. Two, you got work to do. Go do your work. You got to free somebody they're watching your kids for an hour. Go do your work. You got no work. You don't want to watch the practice. Go have a drink. All right, go sit down and relax. You know what, parents? You've earned it. You've been raising these kids for 10, 15, 18 years. You deserve a moment to yourself to sit there with a cold beverage, and enjoy whatever it is that the other parents. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. It does not have to be a high-pressure environment, because the last thing I'll say is if you make it a high-pressure environment for yourself, it's a 100% chance you're making it a high-pressure environment for your kids. All right? You're not making it a high-pressure environment for me as the coach. You're making my decision easier if that's what you're going to provide at the practice. Go have a drink. Go enjoy yourself. All right? What a great discussion. Chris, thanks so much for being here today, shedding some light on this. Obviously, Ice Hockey Systems, a well-known property within the hockey market. Thanks for all you do for the game, my friend.
Hey, thank you guys so much for everything. Appreciate being on here and the time. And yeah, you guys, right back at you. Thanks for everything you do for the game. Hayley, Lee, Mike, game's a better place because of people like you. So
thanks, brother. I really appreciate that a lot. And we'll let that be the final note. With that said, that's going to do it for this edition of Our Girls Play Hockey. Remember, gang, if you have any questions about anything, practices, how to develop them, what you're thinking, do you agree with us, disagree with us, you can always email us at team@ourkidsplayhockey.com. Or remember, you can use the link accompanying this episode in the description, and you can actually text us a message. We only get a short amount of characters to respond back, so if you want to have a real conversation, use emails. We don't put every email we get on the air. I've been asked that once before. No, we do not. But for Chris, for Mike, for Hayley, I'm Lee. We'll see you on the next edition of Our Girls Play Hockey. Everybody, take care. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.